a critical issue right now would be I'm trying to decide what to do with my yoga studio.
So we have a yoga studio. We have COVID. So that's hard and that's affecting it. Okay. And just give me overall the target. Like what's the true target? And obviously these two things relate to it, but I just need to go back to like, what's a specific measurable of we know when we hit the target that's related to the studio or not the studio, but your time?
Yeah, I think it's more related to my time, I guess. I'm just wondering if I want to put much more energy into that and rather than focusing it on just
What's
yoga.
the true target end result? Like how have you changed? Is it income or impact or?
I would like more income,
Okay.
and just more ease too, not in
Okay.
direction.
Great. So the target, so the income we'll use income as a target here. What I love about income is it's a metric. It's like, it's a number. So how much income?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I've written down $75,000
Okay.
this next
So
year. Next year.
how do I earn 75K in 2021?
Mm-hmm.
Given that. Now we're going to find some strengths. You have a coaching program. That's a strength.
Mm-hmm.
What else is a strength to leverage to get to the 75?
I have a good network, a good community also, from the studio. Lots of experience running groups, and teaching.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What are the weaknesses that come up in face of the 75K?
I would say time management is definitely part of it. Um, uh,
Like
I
when you really think of like 75K in 2021, how much money does the studio make? How much money did the studio make in 2019 pre-COVID?
Yeah, 130.
Okay. And was that after cost or is that gross revenue or net?
That's a great question. I think that's actually gross. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
So
And
what
some,
will it make?
sorry.
What will it make in 2020
Oh gosh.
given COVID?
Yeah, we're online right now.
Is it still making money online though?
Still making money online. Yeah, we're probably at about 50% though.
Okay. So you're still halfway there or you're at 60. If it was making that, you're at what, like you'll probably make what, 65K?
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
making like, what is that? 5-6K a month right now?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Net after expenses.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So you'll probably at least do that in 2021, right?
Right. And of course that's not personal. That's all goes into I'm still paying rent and paying employees and paying insurance and
That's all. Okay, so that's
that's not what I made.
okay. Okay. So net is, so if we just go through, so like gross was, what was the number again?
I think it was like it was actually
130 or something?
maybe. Yeah. I should know that off the
Okay.
top.
So what are all expenses
Yeah.
roughly? This
Insurance.
minus this equals net.
Yeah. Insurance.
Teachers, rent, all of it. At the end of the day, how much does the studio make? Don't
Um,
worry about, like, just give me in a ballpark.
yeah.
Is it profitable?
It is profitable. Yeah.
Okay. Is it profitable after it pays you?
It is. Yeah. But not by a lot.
Okay.
Not by a
And
lot.
is it paying you as a teacher owner, or is it paying you also in owner's expenses?
Teacher owner.
Okay.
Mhm.
And Okay, so what's left?
After everything's said and done, you mean the final?
Final amount that's left in the bank account at the end of the year after you pay everybody?
Probably 12,000.
Okay. So the net income is about 12K.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fine. Don't be whatever about that. Like that's all we're only just trying to get in touch with reality because we can't make good decisions, right? Remember that whole thing of going through the journey and arriving back at the beginning, but seeing it for the first time.
Uh-huh.
That's how this works. That's how the growth journeys work. Right. Only the dog recognizes Homer. Homer knows he's now home, and he's also seeing it for the first time. Mm-hmm. So this is just real. So we're saying like, okay, you have a job as studio owner. Your job as studio owner pays you what?
Not very much. Probably, it's kind of hard to say a little bit because I also put so much more into, the studio pays for this training, for example, things like that. So I'm trying to think if I should include all that. I'm like, ugh, not a lot.
Any money that you're taking out of the business that you would otherwise pay for, I would include in that.
Yeah, I would say about 30,000.
Okay. Okay. And then so we'll just say, and that's not really owner's pay. You guys, owner's pay is a different expense item. This is basically you're an employee of the studio. Yeah. So we'll just say Suzanne as employee is 30K. And the reason we need this number is we need to know, in a way, we need to know replacement income for this. So now we have a number, 42K replacement income. So now we're at least in the realm of getting the edges of the puzzle of what's reality. Mm-hmm. Because if you given that the yoga studio job pays you 42K, that's now factoring in. How much time does that take, honestly? 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week?
Probably more like 15. Well, I'm going to go to 20 actually. Yeah. Okay. I still teach, and I'm thinking also all the other stuff that I do. I pay teachers and yeah. Okay. Yeah. So there's these great payment calculators. Do you guys ever use these? I use them all the time online. I'm just going to run that through a calculator. I'm going to just Google salary calculator just so that we can kind of quickly get a sense of, so if it's 42 annual and it's 20 hours a week, 5 days a year, we'll give you 15 vacation days. It's about $40 an hour. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now we just need some parameters here. And you guys, this is what often will happen as you get better at strategies. You just get better and better at like making sure these numbers are true. In the beginning, this can just be like, I know it's working. Like I know it's working, but it's working at this level of it's working. Mm-hmm. And then when we look at the deeper dream, it's like, it's got to work at another level. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I've done this for a while, I think. Yeah. So what are the weaknesses given the target is 75K? Is part of the weakness that you don't really want to work those 20 hours plus another 20 hours a week to bring the income to 75K? I think it might just be, I've been doing it for 15 years and I might actually be wanting to get out of it. But then I also I have maybe some guilt there because there's such a beautiful community and I don't want to leave them either. Okay. Mm-hmm. So there's a weakness in the community is here as a strength, how to transition into, what is it? It's kind of like higher value work at the end of the day, right? Yeah. And how many hours do you want to work a week in your true target? 20 hours a week would be great. Okay. So that's where we get this discrepancy, right? Is like, this can't happen given this job. This job isn't going to just overnight give you a 85% salary increase. And so if we were to expect it to, that would just be foolish thinking. So instead, what we have to do is be like, okay, given that, I need to make how much an hour then? It turns more into something around, I think it turns into 70. I'm just going to use my calculator real quick and see. Okay. If we have 15 vacation days. All right. And we want to make 75K. We need to make $73 an hour. So 75K working 20 hours, which is about, we'll just say $70, $5 an hour. Because then that just gives you a bit of a parameter. How much is your annual pass program with YHC?
Oh, I'm starting in next week, and it was 1,900.
Okay. And how many people are enrolled?
8 right now.
Okay. So there's definitely an issue with enrollment if that's going to scale.
Yeah.
And so
it's going to go up in January, but.
Okay. So then is there another plan besides that as far as like as far as income? There doesn't need to be at all. And I would actually advocate not.
Yeah. No, I mean, I almost did a teacher training again, but I didn't do that. So no, not at the moment.
Okay. Okay. Great. I'm glad to hear it. So all that means is like when it's more of like putting more eggs in one basket, so to speak, if this is going to become the way that income is made rather than running the studio.
I calculated that if I even charge 3,000, I could work with 20 people.
And does that feel good?
It does feel good.
Okay, great. So then the real issue, like we're now pretty far from time management, right? And when you guys come up with a word like time management, I'm always like, what actually are we going to need to do in that period of time that's not happening? Right. So what you really need to do is there's a weakness in charging 3K, and there's a weakness in enrolling 20 people. You've proven you can enroll 8, which is great. Go you. 8 at 2K to 20 at 3K, some of you might be like, that seems like a big problem. I'm obviously not going to think that that's a big problem. Like, why not just do it? You're an expert. Now, what are you going to have to do to make that happen? That's what's going to have to be baked into the strategy. That's actually what we're solving for. So it's not just how do I earn 75K in 2001. It's how do I enroll 20 people at 3K. And you guys, in doing this, my coach in this, he's like, it should feel like smoke is coming out your ears.
Right.
That is how hard you have to think. Like you have to like no bullshit your way through this. Like eyes wide open. It's tapas. This is tapas. You know, when you're in handstand and your teacher's like another 30 seconds and you're like, fuck this, right? I want to come down now. Like that's where we're at. Is like, we're right there and you got to stay in handstand because you need the end result of the tapas. That on the other side, this is like, turning the smoke into something like that. There's a purpose to the fire that creates more malleability. So what we have here now is how do I enroll 20 people at 3K in 2021. And that just gave us a parameter to get there. Given that what? You can't do that. You probably can't do that and do the yoga studio job.
So how do I enroll 20 people at 3K in 2021? Given that, I'm not
say it. It's not, just say it. Just spit it out.
That's where I'm stuck. I don't know.
Yeah, you do.
But that I'm running the yoga studio, I guess. I mean, I haven't made up my mind. I don't know. Ugh.
So just throw out what might need to happen.
Oh, I need to close the doors?
Okay, that's an option.
Yeah.
What's another option? I mean, there's money here to pay a manager $40 an hour for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, that's true. And it was mentioned before that it's just need to get clear on directing people, telling them what to do real clearly, you know, because I've had assistants before and they're good and all, but I'm not on top of them really.
Okay, so now we have a new weakness.
Like really defining what they need to be doing for me at what time, you know, my expectations are, rather than leaving it kind of loose.
What's another option, everyone? What else could she do? You could manage people better.
Yeah.
You could sell the studio. What's another option? Or she could close the studio. She could sell the studio. She could stop teaching. Or she could stop managing, stop teaching, sell the studio, or just close the doors. There's 4 options in there.
Or rent out studio.
Rent the studio.
As a manager.
Yep, that's the management part. Right. She could hire a manager that's actually already good in managing.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Take
A lot of people need work right now. So
Take
there's a lot of options. There's a lot of options in there, and that's what you need to bake into the strategy, right? So how do I do this? Given that I need to change my role at the studio, how much can you work at the studio a week if you're going to do this? How much can you have any involvement with the studio a week if you're going to actually enroll 20 people at 3K?
I think
10 hours?
I could do 10 hours. Yeah.
Okay. Given that my role at the studio has to be 10 hours a week. So now we have a parameter to now build out actual milestones from. So a milestone, and that's where this gets next, is once we have the strategy, what are the milestones? And you can have, you know, annual, and you can also have seasonal. So where do you want to be at a year at this? We already know you want to be at 3K, 20 members. Is that right? I feel like I have it wrong. That doesn't bring us to 75. That brings us to 60.
Oh, you know what I had done my calculations earlier. I also had a couple of retreats on the board. We have several retreats.
Okay. You could do that. Or, I mean, what I would do is just go to replacement income from the studio. So you don't have to think about that. So I would just say if it was me, I'd either bring it up to 25 or I'd bring it up to 3,500.
Okay. Gotcha.
Just because then I at least know the simplest way to a business model that's leverageable.
Yeah.
And if you made it 3,500, you can include retreats in that. Right. But now your focus is just right there, that there's not all these different streams of income. Too many of you guys have too many streams of income and it makes it too complicated because then your attention goes in all these different ways. If you know at the end of the year, I got to get 20 people in at 3,500, I might use some retreats to do that for members plus their friends. Now I have an enrollment mechanism giving the best experience to my members. Great. And we're not going to diffuse focus with needing to market retreats and needing to market studio classes and needing to market other things happening in the studio and needing to market my live my coaching. Okay. So given that maybe this is where you want to be, and I'm just going to throw this out and you can chuck it if you want, but we'll just say that in a year you want to be there and you want to, let's just put in a parameter there. You also want to keep the studio, and the studio is generating, we'll just say it's generating 20, it could even generate 20K a year, and you're paying a manager 20K a year. It's like a really good part-time job for someone that has good management. Not even it's like really good if they're into yoga. If they're not into yoga, it's not going to be, or they need a health breakthrough. So then the seasonal milestones are going to be what? What needs to happen in 4 months for you to be like, I nailed it. I'm on track to my true target?
In 4 months, I need to get another 5 people in my course. Just, you know, I'm doing these different rounds, and this is my first round coming up in September, or a new round or whatever. Because I did a pilot in January, but it was only 12 weeks. So I'm kind of like starting. Yeah. So my
You need to increase your price.
Yeah, I need to increase the price too.
Okay, so you need to add 5 by what, December 31st?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. At what price point?
So if I don't jump all the way up to 3,500, I would say at because
Which you could. I'm not against it.
that's true. Yeah, I could do 3,500.
Might as well bite the bullet, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're not going to have much more experience in coaching and yoga and ayurveda and meditation a year from now than you currently have, because you already have how many years of experience?
Oh, 15.
Right. So you guys see the differential there? So if she's afraid to raise the price and she thinks in a year from now she's going to be able to offer much more value to her people, I would question that and just be like, there's just a weakness to overcome over here in sales.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Let's turn that into a strength sooner rather than later, because then that'll change reality if you can enroll people at $3,500 sooner than later. Because it's not like you're coming in like, I've been teaching yoga for 2 years. I just took my first meditation training and now I'm in YHC.
Right.
You've been in it for 15 years. So that's a strength. Like your coaching is a strength, your experience. So I'll just put that under expertise. We can leverage that. We're going to leverage expertise. We're going to leverage your authority in your community. And of course, we're going to leverage the community itself.
Okay.
And see, do you guys see how we're starting to be able to get some focus here?
Yeah.
To all the stuff that's moving into non-essential. So like, give me something that you're going to have to do this week at your studio that you now know is non-essential for this to exist.
Say that one more time, Kate. Sorry.
What's something that you're going to be doing for your studio this next week, whether online or at the physical facility, that is going into the non-essential? Are you setting up other teachers' schedules? Are you answering emails?
Oh yeah, I'm doing all that. Are you saying that's non-essential though?
Yeah, I'm saying to the person so if you're here.
Oh, okay.
To the person that's here.
Yeah. Sorry.
There's no way that that's showing up in here, because this person here.
Social media.
Is getting good at sales.
Yeah.
Right. And lead generation.
Yeah.
Or lead flow, at the 3,500 price point, and is more focused on their group, and is maybe more focused on the studio manager.
Yeah. I would say that I want to give up the social media for the studio.
Okay.
Like, give somebody else that, I mean.
Great.
That'd be a big one.
Social media. Give me a list.
Facebook, Instagram.
No, I'm sorry, of other non-essential things that a studio manager will be doing for you 4 months from now. 4 months from now, you have a studio manager. They're making whatever, $20 an hour, and you're leveraging them because you're making $20 an hour every time they work an hour, because the studio is still doing the studio thing.
Yep, taking over payroll. Someone else taking over payroll. I had that person, but then during COVID, it just came back in my lap. I would have somebody else managing events, and
great.
Someone else also talking to or emailing students back with the questions that they have.
So customer service. Yep. Great. You're doing great. Keep going. Setting up teacher schedules and Zoom, technology, like all that.
Yeah, that'd be good. It's just so much that I just do it all right now, just the way things.
And that's going to be a thing that you're going to need to turn into a milestone, is you're going to need to transfer this. Oops. Into, all my good project managers know exactly what I'm going to say next, right? She needs a knowledge base for how to do this. This is how the studio runs. So you're going to need something like work instructions or a knowledge base of this is how this studio runs. Now, after you assess this, and you guys, this is why we sharpen the axe. It's because after the end of this, you might be like, fuck it. I'm done.
Uh-huh.
For me to train the person, to have them do it right, for me to correct them 10 times on each of these things because they're not doing it right, it's not worth the $20 an hour to me that I'm going to make on this. So guess what, community? We're recruiting. Who wants to take over the studio?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's what I've been looking for. It's just I've been going back and forth so much about it, and it's taking up so much headspace. Yeah. So this is so helpful to get clear on this. Thank you. And I was really, yeah. All right.
So when we spec the project, like we just did, we're saying that basically the seasonal milestone here is we need 5 people in the course, and there's certain things that we're going to need to do with that project. I'm just going to shrink this because I want more room on the same piece of paper. Is then what we would do is we would really spec this into a project. So that's one project. And then the next project for the seasonal milestone would be that we have an office manager, you know, at $20 an hour, 20 hours a week. That's done that. And in order to do that, there's going to be line items around work instructions, training. I just have this in the wrong order. Hiring. So 1, 2, 3. And if we're overwhelmed at this point by all that, and inside you're like, that's not worth the 20K a year, because we're going to take that 42K and we're going to say, well, half of it is going to go to the employee.
Right.
So the studio would really make 20K a year for me to manage the person. And if we're just thinking like, I'm done, then good. And now we get to have a new strategy around transitioning the studio to the community.
Yeah. And I still think this, so there's like a huge weight, like a huge exhale, a huge weight off my shoulders right after this conversation. And I actually do think it's very possible once I get myself more organized with this, because, you know, other studios have been closing all around me. We're still here. And also it is a great funnel, to be honest, you know, I mean.
Great. Yeah, no doubt.
So it would be worth it $20 an hour, you know, to help the other part of my business if I just get more clear and organized. So this is awesome.
Okay, great. Yeah. And so if you might be clear, like this is exactly what the second project is. And if you ever get to a point of like, that doesn't work, then you just create the next strategy. Like, given that that was a great funnel, are there other ways that I can now have a great funnel? Because no one needs that to have a great funnel. It is an asset. If you're looking at this and you're like, that makes sense, love it, then do it. Or at least test it, see if you can do it. And if you're like, wow, I can't seem to nail, I can't seem to nail the hiring, or I can't seem to nail the training, like I can't seem to get the right person in the right position, then the next iteration of you going through strategy, you're gonna be like, given that, right? Like not in my wheelhouse, or it might be in your wheelhouse. And then the new strategy is like, great, given that now I have a studio manager, how do we leverage her time to actually grow the studio to the next level of being a money maker? So that's strategy. With practice, it gets normal. It becomes fast and normal. But without practice, what happens is what Suzanne just described, is like where we feel like our brain is chewing on the same problems, but it's kind of doing it in the background every day instead of up front and center in the foreground. So what you all need to do next, what the next stages of this are just that, is once you have your, and I just want to say, like, you can do this forwards and backwards and inside and out in order to find some of your gaps in the process. So what I mean by that is, say we take that bigger 3-year target, right? And we say, here is here is year one. So by year one, in 1 year from now, and so what that would be is September 2021, what is X? Where are you 1 year from now? So we're taking like the 3 year, which might feel big and overwhelming. And we're just saying like 1 year from now, this is defining winning. Oh boy. So you need to define winning, which means I will definitely be here by then. 1 year from now, I will have, I'll give an example. I'll give a personal example. In Greenville, in my new land, I will have an orchard planted. I will have Indy's tiny home under construction. And my bus will be like fully sanctified Shakti bus recording studio with my podcast guests staying there. Okay, so that's defining winning. So then the question is what needs to happen in, and I don't care if you do that. I'm doing this now personally by thirds. The way I wrote it in the book is by quarters, but I'm doing planning cycles just 3 times a year because I find it's all I really need. So you can do it by, there's 4 seasons in a year or 3 seasons in a year, however you want to do it. For this example, I'm just going to say 4 months from now. What are the parameters that define winning? Oops. See, these are what I'm calling seasonal milestones. What will have changed? Annual milestones, or what's changed in a year. So get these down just so that, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Right now we're in a sprint. So we're just aiming for good enough that, like, 4 months from now, if that has come to pass, Suzanne's got a studio manager, they've got their work instructions written out, and they're trained, and they're getting feedback every week on how well they're doing to the work instructions, right? That could be defining winning for 4 months from now. And she's got 5 people enrolled at 3,500. Right? If she can just check those 2 boxes, great. She might stretch her 20 hours a week. That might not be, like, she might be working more than that to get those 2 things to happen. And that might be permissible just to get that chunk done, because once the studio manager's trained, now she's not going to have to do all that training, right? So that should have a return on investment. Once the work instructions are written, she's not going to need to write them. She might need to edit or improve them, but that will take much, much less time than that initial creating of, this is how this business runs. Okay, so that's seasonal and that's annual. So now the question is, in order to hit the seasonal milestone, what are you going to need to do? And then that becomes project. So project 1 is going to have actual tasks. And this is where we put the tasks into I like a project management tool because I don't want to keep it in my head. My head is not a place to keep anything of importance, right? I'd like my head to be the top of the sushumna, like an empty vortex. So it has to live somewhere outside of my head. I don't want my head full of things. So it's got to live somewhere outside of my head. I prefer not to use paper because it's too hard to track. So I do prefer to use online project management tools. There's a million of them out there. Asana tends to work best for small businesses. And that would be where I would have project 1. It would be where I have project 2 and project 3. With all my tasks. Now, tasks, when you start using a project management tool, you'll know that there are due dates. Asana and other project management tools, you can put them right in your calendar, and you can also time block the amount of time you think it's going to take that task. So if we say task, we'll take the social media part of project 1 is we need a work instruction on social media. And say I really look at that and I look at that and I'm honest with myself and I'm like, how do we post on social media as a company? How long is it going to take me to download that into my brain and to create instructions so that someone else who's competent enough in X technology and Y technology, might be Canva and Facebook in this example, could, and maybe Google Docs, it might be 3 things. If that's where the schedule is for the teachers, is in a Google Doc, and they've got to create promotional things for the teachers to then put onto Facebook or Instagram. If I'm honest about that, actually help me out here, Suzanne. We're going to be honest. How long is it going to take that to turn that into like a documented, follow these instructions so that you could do that for me?
That
end to end.
Yeah, I think that I could do in a week.
Well, how many hours?
How many hours?
Of just writing all those the micro instructions within the macro.
Maybe 5 hours. I don't think it would be that
Okay,
long.
Great, 5 hours.
Just the doing
But
it.
it's honest, right? It's an honest, like, I'm going to give that a 5 hour. I'm going to give that a 5 hour shake.
And it might
Great.
evolve, of course, too. But
Sure, but we're just trying to get the baseline here. So 5 hours for the baseline. So now you see, like, that's got to get scheduled in the calendar. So Asana and other project management tools, you can just put that right into the project and choose the time to schedule that right in that calendar. That's all part of that same project management tool. Or you can just put it in Asana of like, I've got to do this and now I got to open my calendar and find the 5 hour block of time that I'm going to do that.
mm-hmm.
So at that point, does it seem like we kind of have a shot at this target? Like if we were to do that with all the things, does it seem like, you know what? If we were to do all that, we could probably be here in 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
Faye's on board. She believes. Susan's behind you. So that's really just how this works. It's like we're taking something that can seem like so big.
Yeah.
Like I'm making more money, I'm working less hours. And what we're doing is we're saying like, yes, and we're going to create a really good strategy to do that. We're going to take that strategy and we're going to define the milestones, which just helps us bring it down to the level of, okay, there's this project, and there's this project in order for all of those seasonal milestones to be hit. So Suzanne's other project would have to do with the enrolling at 3,500. She might really need to pay attention to sales. And sales, she might need to like read 2 books on sales. She might need to really get better at like how many people she's talking to a week about her program. All of those would be under here of like read sales book, you know, and then, you know, how am I going to, it's really interesting. Like, how do I schedule, let's say 3 people a week to practice my sales conversations on who are actually prospects?
Mm-hmm.
So that whatever I'm reading, I'm making sure I'm implementing right away. So then we're just kind of breaking that down, that project down into this, and this. And we don't always need 3 projects. Like if there's only 2 milestones, you might only need 2 projects.
Mm-hmm.
In which case you're like, sweet, give me that eraser. There's a whole bunch of work I don't have to do.
Mm-hmm.
But for many of you, there will be, the milestones will need usually 3 projects. If it's more than 3 projects and you're like, you know, you can't manage more than 3 projects, then don't then simplify it down to 2. All right. So you guys we recorded this so that you can revisit it. And it's iterative, right? So it's the same thing. It's the same steps every 4 months. It's the same steps once a year. So the 3rd time you do it for the whole year, like we just did. Now, once you've done it for the full year, the next time, 4 months later, all you really have to do is be like, am I on track? If I'm not on track, do I need to change strategy? And then I'm going to rework strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Because I'm like, oh, my strategy's not working. And Susanna's got such a great example, so I'm going to keep talking about it. She's like, I can't manage the manager. And she knows that 8 months in, or I don't want to, or the numbers don't really work out for us to do this or whatnot, or like, this is whatever. Then, okay, now I need to go back to strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, create a new strategy, and then update seasonal milestones. For many of you, your strategy is going to work. Suzanne's strategy could work swimmingly. She's got her work instructions. She's taken some time and hired the right person. Hiring is going to be its own project. That would actually be the third project, actually, in Suzanne. So just be on hiring. Like, how do I hire the right person? If you hire, has anyone ever hired the wrong person for the right job? The job was right. Person was wrong. Okay, so we've got a good, like, whatever. Everybody here who's ever done hiring, I think their hand went up. So we know there's a really good chance of hiring the wrong person. There's a much slimmer chance of hiring the right person. So we got to get hiring down. And that will be its own, that will need its own strategy of how do I actually hire and train, and you can maybe put those two things together. How do I hire and train the right manager? And then we would just break that down into steps. So sometimes the amount of time we actually want to work in our true target and the amount of time we need to work to get there is different. And that's why it's called the hustle or the sprint. But we're leveraging our sweat equity now for a return on investment later. And as long as you know that's what you're doing, you can do it. You know what I mean? As long as you know this isn't forever. This is what I'm doing now because this office manager is going to free up 15 hours of my week because it's only going to take five hours a week for me to manage her. Great.
Yeah.
And I'm still going to be making 20K a year from the business, and it's my lead funnel. Great. Sounds like a good strategy to me for where you're at.